Good afternoon and welcome to the Living Well program. You can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 in Anchorage as well as KJLP 88.9 in Palmer. You can also listen live online at katb.org. Please be sure to check out our Facebook page at Living Well Radio. And last but not least, you can download our podcast available on iTunes. Just search for Living Well. We look forward to connecting with you at any one of those places. Do you like connecting with everybody out there, Betty?
Yes, I do.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Connecting, yes. Networking, yes.
We're playing around with this Facebook Live stuff.
Oh, that's scary.
I mean, we're having to accept...
Cammie's dragging me into the 21st century, dragging and kicking. I mean, I'm kicking and screaming the whole way.
I'm right there with you. It's hard to put yourself out there and be authentic.
Real, transparent,
yes,
raw.
All those things. We love talking about those words here on Living Well.
Can you believe it's the last day of January?
Can't believe it. The month is already gone.
Already.
Flying by.
Looking into
Days
February.
are getting longer. That's all I care about.
Hallelujah.
Yes, more sunlight.
Hallelujah.
Hey, guys, we appreciate you tuning in today. My name is Cammie, joined by Betty. Say
Yes,
hi,
I'm
Betty.
here. I'm here.
Got to make sure she's there.
I am.
And we're super excited once again about this show. You know, this is one of the things we just love so much about doing Living Well is we get to learn about new ministries and resources that we had no idea even existed. And really, that's the whole mission and vision of the show is to bring those things out. We have amazing ministries right here in the state of Alaska.
Absolutely.
And we've got one to share with us today. We've got Stephanie and Sarah, her daughter. What a treat to be able to bring your daughter into the studio today.
Thank you.
Welcome to Living Well.
It's great to be here.
It's good to be here for sure.
Good. Well, thank you so much. So we're going to learn something new. We're going to learn about Cadence International, this ministry that you guys are a part of, and we look forward to learning a little bit about you. So I want to turn it right over to you, Stephanie, just to give us kind of the 411 on you. How long have you been in Alaska? And you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for having us on the show. It's a lot of fun to be here. My husband and I and our family arrived here in August of 2012. We work with an organization called Cadence International. Up here, we are currently under the name of Homestead, and our job is to come alongside the military, basically provide a home away from home for service members and their families, and that takes all kinds of forms. But, you know, our focus is just giving them a place to help acclimate. Many of the folks that we have that come out to our house on a regular basis, we do a weekly meeting and in addition to other things, but they're new. They're new to Alaska. They're new to adulthood. Many of them are 18 to 20, 25 years old. We do have some families and things like that come out, but before coming here, our family, so we have Bob, my husband, and myself, and then we have 3 children, Nathan, Sarah, and Aaron. Nathan and Sarah are at Liberty University, and then Aaron is still here. As a matter of fact, she attends ACS, Anchorage Christian School. And we were in Osan, South Korea for 4.5 years.
Wow. Doing
Doing the same kind of ministry. So Cadence has been around for a long time. We're one of 40 houses around the world.
Really?
Wow. So a lot of fun to do what we get to do because our model of ministry is living life together. You know, God He cares about every part of our life. So, you know, that we get to live in beautiful Alaska, we get to not only care for the spiritual needs of our folks, but also, your car broke down. Okay, let us help you fix your car. You haven't seen Alaska yet? Wait, this is beautiful. Come, let's go sledding. Let's go see, like we've got a group this weekend going up to Fairbanks to just check out the Northern Lights, to go to Chena Hot Springs. I think that was Sarah's idea.
Yep.
You know, it's so interesting, Stephanie, that you would bring that up because we have been tossing around this phrase that's kind of a 2017 phrase moving into 2018 about doing life together. We're hearing that be the tagline for life groups, and we thought, what does that look like? And you really just coined it because that's what we've determined. It's not just meeting on a Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
Yep, that's right.
It's coming together as a community and meeting the needs of those in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do all kinds of stuff.
It is what you said. If you need help with your car, give us a call. We'll see what we can do to help her. Let's go to Costco. I'll teach you how I buy groceries. Or you want to make some bread? I'll learn with you. Let's go practice. Let's practice in my kitchen.
Absolutely. One of the things, diet is a big deal, right? Everybody's got their new thing. And so this last year we got really challenged on our diet, and I needed to learn how to cook in new ways, specifically some vegan type ways. How do you cook like that? I don't know. So we started offering cooking classes. We pulled in a vegetarian friend of ours and said, teach us how to do this thing.
Really?
And, we had 8 or 10 people show up for 3 or 4 weeks in a row to learn how to cook from a vegetarian perspective, just because it was fun and it's different. And how do we eat healthy?
Now, Stephanie, I had never heard of Cadence until I met you. How did you get involved or even get started with it?
Sure. Cadence, like I said, has been around since just after World War II. It was started by a man named Jesse Miller. He was stationed in the Philippines, and he survived the Bataan Death March, and then also 3 years as a prisoner of war in Japan. And he, prior to that, while he was in the Philippines, started attending a Bible study with some missionaries that were there and gave his heart to the Lord. And when he was in that death camp, he told the Lord, if ever I get out of this, I will give my home to service members and their families. And so that birthed what eventually became Cadence International. Originally, it was Overseas Christian Servicemen Centers. And we're much larger than that now. We're here in the United States. We are overseas. But it's this concept of coming alongside service members who all of their supports, or many of their supports, have been taken away from them. They've given up family and friends and their support system, and they've followed the country to be able to take care of it. So we have freedom. And so how do we come alongside them, often in a very needy place? And so that's where the birthing of that is. For me personally, Cadence came together right after college. When I was very young, I felt like God had called me into missions. I didn't know what that looked like. I really wasn't excited about going to like Africa or something like that. But I studied youth ministry in college, and then got introduced to the youth side of Cadence, which provides youth group leaders to military chapels. And so all of a sudden now missions and youth were combined, which was an exciting thing for me. So I got to spend 3 years doing youth ministry to military youth in Germany. That was way cool. Just saying.
Wow.
Was your parents in the military?
No.
So how did you end up in Germany?
Well, as when I was doing an internship at a church in the Detroit area, I got introduced to Cadence International and to youth ministry. Just so happened to be in Germany, and I thought I love to travel, and I asked myself that question: was I more excited about living in Germany or getting to be a missionary? And it was probably a little of the getting to live in Germany.
Sure.
And was that okay? Can I be Christian and that be exciting?
Right.
Oh, heavens. We get to be excited and happy, too.
I know, right?
I love it. So, Sarah, I want to ask you a question. Sure. Again, Sarah's the daughter of Stephanie, and so it sounds like you've kind of been raised in this ministry. Is that a fair statement?
That is a very fair statement,
Okay.
yes.
What has it taught you as you kind of navigate and be a college student, as a young adult? What has it taught you to watch your parents and you guys as a family serving kind of that same age group?
One thing that has really stood out to me over the years is, one of the reasons that Mom and Dad got into this ministry is so that our family can all be involved in it together. Growing up, we all traveled together and went to different churches, the whole family presenting the ministry as we were raising support. And then when we were in South Korea, we were able to be part of the relationships going on in the communities. We basically invite the people into our family. A lot of the soldiers who come call Mom, Mom. So we have a lot of older brothers, older sisters who are involved. So it's a very personal ministry. And that's something that has really inspired me. And it will continue to play into my life as I grow up, as I have a family of my own, being able to include them in the life that I have, in the ministry that I'm doing.
Wow, that's great. Just to have families serving together and having a common mission in that regard. That's really cool.
Do you ever feel like that you never get your mom to yourself? You might not want to answer that.
We do have a very open door policy a lot of the time. So we have people in and out all of the time. So it definitely could have the potential to feel like that too, but we definitely guard our own time together. There was a while where we would have just Monday nights be just family nights, so we didn't have anybody else over. It was just our family. We'll go out and intentionally go get coffee or call on the phone or do different things like that. It's different being at college now because I'm there in Virginia and they're here, so we have to be very, very intentional about getting time with everybody. But yeah, it definitely could be a struggle, but I think that they've done a good job, and we've been, proactive in that area.
That's excellent.
I like that word, proactive and intentional.
That's right.
Well, and doing family ministry is a scary thing. When we first landed in Osan in 2006, our oldest was 10 and our youngest was 5. And we were going to open up our home. We kind of live in a fishbowl where you have people in and out all the time. And how do you keep your kids safe? How do you take care of their needs? We got weird things in raising our support. We had many people go, how can you even consider taking your kids overseas? What are you thinking? What are you thinking taking your children away from their grandparents and doing all this? And we felt like that was what the Lord would have us do, of course, but it's not without cost. It's costly to follow the Lord. And we have watched over the years as God has opened up doors that we would never have expected because of the choices that we've made to go, God, we don't know what the future holds, but we know that this is what you're asking us to do. And so we're willing. And, we've had to give up some things. We were very close to especially my parents, but also Bob's. They grew up when they were little around my parents. And, it was just hard on all of us. We used Skype a lot when we were first overseas. And but there's definitely a cost involved with that, and God has replaced relationships with other relationships if you can do that.
Sure.
And you have to trust God with all of it. So,
how do you guys get the word out about this ministry and opportunity?
For us, because the military is an ever-changing, always revolving, here, the average single person is here about 3 years. So most of the military is here about 3 years. Some of them can extend for a year. Some of them, what they call EPCOT, for 3 more. They do that kind of thing, but it's always turning over. And so our main connection is through the chapel. What makes Cadence a little different, hospitality houses are not new. There's a lot of hospitality houses around the world. A lot of them are denominationally based, meaning a church will, like the Southern Baptist may have some hospitality house somewhere, or the Reformed Church might. Cadence is non-denominational, and so it gives us a unique position to come alongside the chapel and extend their ministry. And so we are not a church. We're not counting numbers for a church. We are owned by the chapel program. And so we're allowed to come in and be their young adult ministry. And so we answer to them. It's kind of like having 2 bosses. So Cadence is our boss on one side, and the chapel is our boss on the other. And so whichever one says, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't do that, we got to follow. It's our job to come along and make life easier for them and love on them. And so we attend the chapel on base. That is our home church. And we use that as our jumping off point. And then for Bob and I, and each house looks different. That's one of the things that attracted us to this ministry, is you can hit several of the hospitality houses and they can look very different from each other. We have the same core values, but a lot of it goes in our gifting on how we operate. And so for Bob and I, we believe in making our core group really strong and then teaching them to reach out and disciple their sphere of influence. So that's how we operate like that. And so, for instance, like our main meeting is on Friday nights. Right now, currently, we're averaging about 30 to 40 people every Friday night at our house. We do dinner at 6:30. We start cleaning at about 1. We have some that come in and do that, and then dinner starts about 3. We start cooking dinner. Actually start to eat at 6:30, Bible study at 7:30 to 9. Then we do dessert, and people hang out anywhere from 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Every week. So that's Friday night for us. 2 or 3 Saturdays, we've got stuff specifically going on. Like next Saturday, we have what we call Men of Valor. So Saturday morning at 8:30, they'll have a breakfast and a meeting just for the men. So some of the men, we have a bunk room in our house, and then we have 2 or 3 other guest rooms. So they can spend the night if they want, if they don't want to go back to the barracks or the dorms.
Wow.
They can come hang out and then stay for that meeting.
I would imagine you have some of these guys and gals bringing their friends who may or may not be in the military.
Occasionally.
Yeah?
Occasionally we do.
Because it sounds like a pretty fun group, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we do have some civilians, and there's oftentimes churches struggle with that age group. that 18 to 25, what do you do with them?
Right.
And it's transient. You got folks like our kiddos who are down in Virginia instead of here. And so how do you manage that? Because of the draw, we have a policy at our house that if you're a civilian, if you're not military, and you're in this age bracket and you want to come, it's 2/3 serve, 1/3 be a part. Our target audience is military. So if you're coming as a civilian, you come to minister. And that really keeps the numbers down.
Interesting.
I can imagine. So what does a typical week look like for Cadence?
Well,
for you?
Yeah, let's start on Friday. Our busiest time is on the weekends. And so we hit the Friday night, which I just mentioned, and then usually we're doing something on Saturday. In the spring, when the weather's nice, we're hiking, we're out doing stuff, going seeing. Bob's a big fisherman; he likes to fish. They'll do hunting trips, things like that. Sunday, we encourage people to go to church. We support the chapel, and so we encourage people to join us. But we also, you can go anywhere, and so many of them go to various churches in the area. And then Monday is our down day, technically. Bob and I are not good at taking off days. So Tuesday, usually there's some, I do PWC, which is Protestant Women of the Chapel. I just came from there. And sometimes I'll teach. This semester I'm not. I've got some other things I'm doing with them. And then Bob, we meet throughout the week mentoring different people. So we have a number of folks that we'll meet one-on-one with. Trying to work around their schedules. Wednesday night, the chapel has what they call Discovery, which is their Wednesday night program. They do dinner, and then they do Bible classes for adults and kids, and so we're part of that. We run a young adult class on Wednesday nights. Thursday, again, that's kind of open. Sometimes we'll have people over for dinner because we like to get people out and just visit with people one-on-one, but we also should take some of those off. They do rock climbing. Different people do. I don't because I fall off the wall, but the kids do.
Do you have a time set aside that you meet with just the women, the young women? Or are there many young women that attend?
We do. Right now we're about half and half. Yeah. With women, and we got women and men and couples and singles. It depends on the season. There are seasons when we'll run just a ladies' study. And we have a part, so it's Bob and I are the directors of the hospitality house, and then we have a female single partner, Becky McClure. She came up 2 years ago, and she is our singles and women's minister. And so she works closely with us. And so that's why we're half and half. Usually we're not half and half. Usually there's a lot more guys than there are gals. But has significantly increased since Becky's been here.
That's good.
Fun.
And I do agree. I think that is a difficult age group for the church to address because on one hand, we want to talk about all of the downfalls of that demographic and all the struggles that they have and they face. And that's really the gap where we lose the attention of the young people. And then we also expect purity and relationships. But then, how are we coming along and providing them those opportunities to meet godly other women and godly other guys that are, sharing that same passion? If we don't have opportunities like this, not to say that that's a dating ground, but, it's a great opportunity to meet somebody else who's kind of going in that same direction that you might be propelled as well.
Definitely.
That is, I don't want to say a complaint, but that is a challenge that I have heard many young men and women talk about, where can I meet these young women at or young men at?
Sure. And we've had that issue. The ratio of men to women in the military is 7-1, 7 men to every 1 woman. And so because of that, that's been the ratio at our house. In Osan and here, there have been times when it's just been the girls and I. So there are 3 of us, none of us available to date. It's not going to happen. And now she is, Sarah's that age. So,
yeah. She's like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Just what I needed.
We could put your number out there.
That's okay. That's okay.
No, not good.
Stephanie, this might be kind of a hard question to answer, but in all the things that you have done with Cadence, is there one memory that just stands out above all the rest? All the people that you've met, the young people.
Wow. That's a great question. Each season has its unique gifts and challenges, and I think that's one of the things that I love about it. And as I reflect over the years, here specifically, one of the unique things that has come up that's been phenomenal is we live in a place where we never have before, where we have the opportunity to have people actually live with us. And so we've had the opportunity in the last few years to have a couple of service members actually move in and be an extended part of our family. And that has increased exponentially the amount of time and the ability to go deep with them. And that has been fun for me to do that. It's, the challenge in that is most of the time, just like teenagers, when do they want to talk? It starts at about 11 p.m., and so we'll be talking late into the night, early into the morning, just about deep subjects. And, that's been phenomenal to have the privilege of being invited into somebody's life, to provide a safe place to ask questions, and to work through issues and to challenge people. We very much believe in walking with the Lord, and that God can be the center, He can be the hub, and so to help people think in those categories, it's not even a paradigm for them. Oftentimes it's God is part of what I do, just like everything else, versus no, God is the center. And, what career should I have, or what should I do? I should ask God about that first. I should, and try to train them in thinking through those kind of things. They just have never thought about it. It's not that they don't want to do it. It's just not even a thought that God is that big.
Yeah.
That He even cares about those things.
Right.
Yeah. What car should I buy? Should I date? Should I not date? Who should I date? We get a lot of people dating non-believers. They have that thought that God says, don't be unequally yoked. But why? Why is that important? To be able to think through that stuff with them. So it's been really fun.
What an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
To truly speak into their lives.
So, great privilege.
Before we move on to our next question, with about 9 minutes left, I want to give you an opportunity to let our listeners know how to get in touch with you or with this ministry.
Sure. So if you were interested in connecting, I know, as a matter of fact, as we speak, my husband is meeting with a local church in the area who's going to help us think through military ministry. There's a lot of churches here that want to serve the military here. There's a lot of military. So you can find us on Facebook at Homestead JBER. We also have a web page called Homestead JBER.org. So those are a couple of places. A number that you can find us at is 907-748-1865. And that'll connect you with us so that we can give you more information. We love to have people involved. We have different projects. Currently, actually, for the summer, we're looking for anybody who really likes working gardening or lawn care. We have a big place. God has provided a neat place out in Eagle River. It's 4,800 square feet with 2.5 acres. But it needs tender love and care. And so we're looking for folks, maybe retired people who might want to come out and own that. I have a black thumb, so I trying not to kill the grass is what I'm trying to do.
I was going to ask you about your home, because I know that for a while, it's not that you were homeless, but you were looking for a place that you could stay.
Yeah. When we first got up here, our partner lived out on Eagle River Road out near the Nature Center, which was a phenomenal place, but he was in 2,300 square feet. It wasn't real big. There were a time, right now we're averaging 30 to 40, but we've had as many as 70 on an average. And that's huge to put in that kind of space. So when we came, we added a second house to the mix, and that was a little bit bigger, but we had a postage stamp for a yard, and 2 winters ago, when it was all ice through the winter, we had 2 different people slide into each other in our driveway, which you just can't have that. So we began praying about that, and God has opened up this home on 2.5 acres. It's 4,800 square feet. It's got a 3-car garage and a barn. So it's got all this space, and Cadence is in the process of buying it. We just spent the last year raising $140,000 as a down payment to buy this place. And so God brought in all the money, and Cadence is in the paperwork process. So it will be a permanent house for Cadence here in Eagle River, which is really fun. With that, there's a lot of maintenance. There's a lot of stuff, and we're hoping to bring up a couple mission teams this summer.
What a great idea.
Yeah. To do different things from churches that we're supported. What's kind of cool about Cadence is we're a full faith-based mission, and so Bob and I are supported by churches and individuals monthly. Most of them lower 48 because that's who we knew getting into this. And so our salary, a lot of our ministry stuff comes from them. Each of the houses that Cadence owns, though, we didn't raise enough to also cover the house expense. And so they expect the houses themselves to cover themselves. So we have local businesses and churches and individuals who actually cover the expenses of the house itself. So you've got two different pots of money that's coming from. But when people come and they give at the house, it doesn't go to Bob and I. It goes to the ministry there at the house, and it'll stay with the house. So which is kind of fun.
It's really cool because it directly impacts the lives of the people there. They get to be a part of supporting and helping out with the ministry, even financially. That means that they're investing into the lives of these military people just like we are, but they're enabling us to do that. So it's really, really great opportunity for sure.
Absolutely. What a neat ministry for that age group. That is awesome.
Did you just automatically know how to cook for 70 people?
Such a good question.
Mom's a good cook.
I don't doubt that.
Very,
But
very good cook.
Yeah.
how in this world did
Yeah.
you have pots big enough?
Well, yeah. Well, and, again, each of us does different things. No, I didn't. When we first landed in Osan, there were people who were running the cooking. So I shadowed them for the first 3 months we were there, learning what they did and how they did it and how they put it all together. And then you just practice. Now, on the flip side of that, I come from a restaurant family. My parents have owned 2 restaurants, and I've been a grill cook. So I come not with, a home cooked. I hated cooking growing up. It's really funny.
And look where you are.
Yeah, and look where God's got a great sense of humor. But so because of that, I have the restaurant supply, grill cook stuff. So yeah, we have a lot of big pots and a lot of big pans.
Now, Sarah, did you help her cook when you were at home all the time?
I did, but I wasn't as much of a fan of the cooking as I was the baking. So for a while, she had me in charge of all of the desserts that came through the house. So
Well, that's just as good and just as difficult.
Absolutely. People liked me more.
Of course.
Yeah, and I still don't bake. I still don't do desserts. So that's all I say.
Now, just before we close the show, and here I'm going to end with this deep question, but, I would imagine just because it's kind of a typical statistic, if you will, of our culture of the fatherless young men that we have, do you see that as being kind of the same trend in this group of young men that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, I would say that there's, it's hard to say. With that, it's interesting when we look at our ministry. There was a time when you think about people coming into the military, oftentimes they're trying to escape something else. But what we've also found is we've got a couple of different types of young men and women coming in. Is either they do have a horrible family background, they have no idea what family should look like because they've come from not a good place, and so we get to show them this is what a good family looks like. That's not normal. God's family can look so much better than that, and it can be designed so much better. And then we have another group of people who have joined the military. They feel patriotic and they want to do that, and they've come from excellent homes. They have excellent parents, and they don't need us to replace their parents or and none of them need us to replace their parents. But they just they miss home. And so when the kids were little, they were literally the brothers and the sisters. In Osan, there's a unique situation in that many of them are unaccompanied for an entire year without their families. So they're married, they have little kids at home, and they're there in Osan, South Korea without them. And our kids became surrogate little kids that they could love on and go see their soccer games and, do all that kind of stuff. Which is really fun, which was a need that our family had because we'd left all of our siblings and aunts and uncles and grandparents. And so there is, we're living in a generation that there's no absolutes. And so that's one of the things that we bring to the table is it doesn't take long if you're having conversations with us where we go, oh, well, this is what the Bible says. There is an authority. And what you believe about the Bible is everything. And so we really get into some of that. We challenge them on their absolutes and where they're going to go with their authority and what are they basing their life on. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Great answer. great insight just to...
That's a great ending.
It really is. I mean, there's not much follow-up to that. You rounded that out really well, and I appreciate that.
Will you share again how they can contact you?
Sure. You can find us on Facebook. We're the Homestead JBER, JBER, and then also on the web at homesteadjbeer.org, or you can call 907-748-1865.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Sarah, for coming and joining Living Well today just to share about this neat ministry and what you guys are giving your lives to on a day-to-day basis. What a sacrifice, as you mentioned, but I'm sure such a reward on the other side as well.
Thank you. We love it.
And thank you. That is another Living Well program, and you can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 in Anchorage, as well as KJLP 88.9 in Palmer, and you can also listen live online at katb.org. We do look forward to you joining us again next Wednesday.